How's it going, everyone? James and Adam back here for Spectation Sports, and we got another great regional show going on this weekend. It's going to be North Iowa fights taking place at the Mason City Arena. Get this, Adam, in Mason City, Iowa, believe it or not. So it's going to be a great card headlined by UFC veteran Zak Ottow. But we're going to start first in the middleweight division. Chris Avia, remember that name? Used to fight in the UFC. He's taking on a guy by the name of John Kennedy. Chris Avia, 7-9, taking on John Kennedy, who's 9-32. Adam, what can you tell us about this fight?
Well, Chris Avia is a Nate Diaz protege, Nick Diaz protege. We should mention there's a couple fighters from that camp on this card, James, and Nate Diaz will be apparently in attendance on this card. So Nate Diaz is going to be there, guys, which is pretty cool. Chris Avia, you guys probably remember from the UFC, fought twice in the octagon. He lost to Artem Lobov, Enrique Barzola. And since then, he's lost a few more fights, James. He lost to Jamal Emmers, Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor. I know who you know who these guys are as well. Yeah. But he did pick up a nice win in his last fight in North Iowa fights by knockout. And he has changed weight classes now. He's a guy that fought, I believe, at featherweight in the UFC, James. Now he's fighting at middleweight, which is insane. So he's a guy that obviously has put on some weight. He's moved up in weight. He's a guy with a lot of experience. 7-9 record's not great by any means, but the thing is, the guy who's fighting is 9-32, James. And I'm sorry, I know the guy's got a lot of experience and he's been a pro for a long time. You know, all respect to these guys, but 9-32, James. And if you look at the amount of times he's been finished, he gets finished by almost everyone. I actually think this is kind of a setup fight for Chris to get a nice win here. So I'm thinking Chris Avia by a TKO or by submission, James. What do you think?
I'm going the same way. I might even go by decision in this one. We'll see. Just because of the fact that he is fighting a guy who's a regular mainstay middleweight. He did fight at featherweight. That's crazy. This is like the Anthony Rumble Johnson of middleweight, I suppose, with Chris Avia moving up. But yeah, just, you know, again, his opponent does have more experience. He doesn't have that experience against top-notch competition like Chris Avia does. I got to go Avia in this fight as well. Let's get to the main event here. Zak Ottow, the UFC vet, going to be taking on Jarome Hatch, and this fight, believe it or not, going to be taking place at a 195-pound catch weight. Not something you see every day. You know, it's not even Franklin weight, I think, or it kind of is Franklin weight if we're kind of going by that, so to speak. Rich Franklin, that is. But anyway, Zak Ottow looking for back-to-back wins, taking on Jarome Hatch, who's got a ton of fights. What can you tell us about this matchup, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I really like this fight, James. It's actually a great fight, guys. This should be a really fun one. So Zak Ottow, we all remember him from the UFC. He had 8 fights in the UFC. He went 4-4. Very inconsistent, James. He was just like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. They let him go. I will say, though, his last fight against Clarence Jordan at Caged Aggression in 29 looked amazing in that fight. He actually moved up to middleweight for that fight, James. He looked much better at that weight class. I'm thinking he was a guy who was cutting a lot of weight to make welterweight, and I think it affected his chin because he was knocked out 3 times in the UFC, James, but it's a guy that does have some power, and his jiu-jitsu is, I think he's a black belt. He obviously owns Pura Vida, BJJ, that's his own gym. The guy's amazing on the ground. And I look at Hatch, I got to be honest, I didn't know a lot about him, so I watched tape on him today, and there's some fights of him on YouTube. He did fight a few guys that were in the UFC, like Casey Escola and Brandon Melendez, and beat those guys. So does have a little bit of experience against UFC competition, James. But the thing that stands out to me is, yeah, he's super tough, and he has 21 wins by stoppage, so he can finish you for sure. But James, one thing that stands out to me, 7 losses by submission, fighting Zak Ottow here, who's a black belt in the ground, 11 wins by sub, coming off an armbar his last fight. I think Zak Ottow submit this guy. So apparently there's going to be betting odds for this fight, guys. I really like Zak Ottow in this fight, James. I'd love to get your thoughts, but I think he finishes this guy.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Tailor-made matchup for Zak Ottow. A couple things about that, because I did have a chance to speak to Zak yesterday. He basically said exactly what you mentioned. He shouldn't have not been fighting at welterweight. He talked about how he's much happier fighting at middleweight, and the only reason this is 195 is because the opponent didn't want to cut that much weight. So you're going to get a better fight this way. Ask Zak what he typically weighs in at. It's around 200 pounds. So for him, this is nothing in terms of cutting weight. So he might even look better than we're used to, just because he's not going to be cutting much weight at all. You talk about that last win. Even him getting released from the UFC, here's a guy that was, winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one. It's not like he was on a huge losing streak going into this. And the guy he lost to in his last UFC fight was Alex Morona, who last time I checked is a pretty good fighter in that welterweight division. They're both 34 years old, but clearly 2 different records. His opponent, Jarome Hatch, not exactly a great record in MMA and doesn't have the level of competition that Zak Ottow's fought as well. So, and you look at Ottow's losses, Jangling Lee, Sage Northcutt probably would have liked that one back, but Morono, not bad losses at him. I got to go Zak Ottow here. Clear path to victory. I think he gets it done by either submission or knockout in this fight, but I think this definitely helps out Zak Ottow. And, there's a lot of self-belief in Zak Ottow. He feels like, if he picks up a win here and maybe another one, he could get back in the UFC. He is rep by Iridium Sports, which is known as one of the agencies that gets a lot of fighters in the UFC. So he's got his eye on the prize, whereas Jarome Hatch, he's probably just happy fighting a UFC vet.
Absolutely. I want to plug my articles coming out of Spectation Sports. I got fighter profiles for both guys, so I did look at both guys' fights. Again, I didn't know a lot about Hatch. Now I know about him. And Zak Ottow, the fight that he just had against Clarence Jordan, you can watch that. It's in the article. It'll be up on Spectation Sports, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday, James. Awesome podcast again, man. I can't wait for this card, James. It's going to be a fun one, man.
It's going to be an awesome weekend. We got a lot of MMA going on, but make sure you check out this fight. Again, this could be Zak Ottow's fight back into the UFC, so make sure you tune into that one. For myself, James Lynch, that is Adam Martin. We'll be back next time for another preview, but thank you so much for watching and enjoy the fights this weekend.